Ayy, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another Live Wire Sports Media introduction. And we going into Sunday now. So this will be your Sunday stroll edition. It seems like after watching the game yesterday between the Fever and the Atlanta Dream, a lot of fans, not say all of them, but a lot of fans has a lot of concerns. Now, whether it's Aaliyah Boston, Sidney Colston, but the one glaring concern is the movement of the offense and Caitlin Clark being off ball. Now, I covered a video a while back. I went through my archives and tried to pull that video again, and definitely I probably will look for it sometime soon. But the fact of the matter is that I'm going to take a page out of Aaron Rodgers. RELAX. Relax. The Indiana Fever will be fine. Yeah, we have some concerns, but y'all expecting Caitlin Clark to score 30 points in a preseason game, which is utterly ridiculous. She played 23 minutes and almost have a triple double. Why exhaust her in the preseason game when her minutes is going to be almost 30? If this was a regular season game, Caitlin Clark would have played the tie league the whole game. She she would have came out. She would have came out here and there. But everybody's thinking that she's supposed to play all of these minutes. The offense is supposed to be a juggernaut. We're supposed to blow out a team that, when you still trying to find chemistry with Michaela Timpson, Jalen Brown, different rotation sets, chemistry. The team is still trying to find chemistry. It's not like we had the team for last year. If we had the team for last year, it'd probably be a whole different conversation. But you have new pieces from almost top to bottom on this team. Everybody's learning how to play with each other. Even Caitlin is kind of like hesitating to feel her way, even though she has exciting moments, even though she had a great game last week, even though she didn't play the first game. But you get to see the different combinations. And people think that the motion offense is such a bad offense. Go back and look at Greg Popovich and his offense with the San Antonio Spurs. Same thing. Caitlin ran a similar offense in college. She ran a redirect and some motion offense. But if you don't understand the two offenses and what it's about, then you're not going to understand. There's been times that Caitlin played off ball in college. If you really paid attention to her, she played off ball some in college. Yeah, she had the ball back. The way Stephanie White is trying to orchestrate this offense is that you gotta save Caitlin for the fourth quarter. You can't burn her out all through the game and think for her to be performing in the fourth quarter when she's really needed, because that was one of the problems last year with this team, because the fact of the matter is Chrissy Size burnt this team out. She was the Tom Thibodeau of the Indiana Fever. She burnt this team down. Kelsey Mitchell wore down. Kaylin wore down. The offense couldn't flow, even though they came out in the second half and did everything they did. But towards the end of the season, you could see some fatigue set in. Minutes are going to be managed. The one thing I liked was how Stephanie White implemented Sophie Cunningham in the starting lineup. There's going to be a times that Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall is going to start together. You're going to see different lineups. It's all about matchups. It's not all about, putting this person in because this person could do this, do that. You got to think, Natasha Howard and DeWanda Bonner are older athletes. So cutting their minutes down, if they don't start, uh, say they don't start at the beginning of the season, maybe maybe playing against the Dallas Wings, they might start. Maybe playing against Seattle Storm, they might start. Maybe playing against Connecticut, they might start. Maybe against Connecticut, Sophie and Lexi starts. The combination of the offense is going to be different. So I'm gonna show y'all something, highlights from this game because C from X, um, he posted this. One was on ball, one was off ball. So I'm only gonna show you a few clips of it and everything, and then I'm gonna get back to you because I want y'all to understand that Caitlin had Caitlin had almost had a triple double with 23 minutes. If she had played 30 minutes, she would have eclipsed that. She would eclipse a triple double. So, but when you having others in the game that need to develop and see where you at, it's important. This preseason game doesn't even matter, even though they won. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to find chemistry and develop of your team. First, I'm gonna show you a little bit on ball. Hold on.
And here comes Caitlin Clark. She crosses that court. We already know that she is in range. The Rookie of the Year a season ago, also an All-Star in her first year. As Kelsey Mitchell with the rock, working baseline, finds Boston. 7 on the shot clock, a little mouse in the house, and Aaliyah Boston couldn't connect. Second look, as Kelsey Mitchell wide left. Time for Natasha Howard. That's something she does pretty well, as she's a former Defensive Player of the Year as well. Caitlin Clark, step back three. The threes are worth more than 2. First turnover for Atlanta as Caitlin Clark going at Aaliyah Gray. And
Hannah Jones coming off a EuroLeague championship.
just a miscommunication.
Howard as a presence. Sophie Cunningham, all these feisty players. And they had a lot thrown at them last year. I mean, the way they settled in was impressive, to say the least.
With different rotations in the final preseason game.
Ooh, look at that pass.
Back door, Lexi Hall block. And we brought this up earlier.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of the on-ball action Caitlin Clark was doing in the game. Now, she didn't hit a couple of shots, and the game, it was kind of like how the Wizards, the Mystics games was early on the first preseason game. But again, you have to take it, you have to take it in two different directions. It's not gonna always be pretty because of this team. Don't be surprised if this team struggles the first 5 games of the season because they still trying to figure out. Remember when LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh all went to Miami and they struggled out the gate? But guess what? As the season progressed, they find a footing, the chemistry, and was able to coast down and win a championship. Same thing with the Indiana Fever. You got to give them time. We can't just whine and complain about every little thing that we expect for this team when it doesn't go well. The first game of the season, preseason, we seen Sophie Cunningham running the show. Now, granted, Sophie got hurt in the third quarter. If she was there, you probably would have seen a little bit more flow, a little bit, a little bit flow of the game. But she got hurt, she got injured. But then you have to understand that Caitlin is used as a decoy as well. She is used as a decoy because they still pressure her, but Caitlin has developed a lot of strength now. You see her using her strength against Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Pow, all of them. And she's able to get to the basket at will. Matter of fact, she took one play and outran Ryan Howard up the down the court to lay it in. So there's some good to it. Yeah, we're not going to see this experiment because once the lineup for the first game, me personally, I look at it like this: we got to play the Atlanta Dream on the 20th and the 22nd. Stephanie White and their coaching staff is not going to just lay everything out there all good because oh well it's a preseason game we want to show our hand. They don't do it in the NFL. They don't do it in the NBA. They don't do it in baseball. Everybody has to have time to gel together, feel each other out. They've been practicing for a while. They don't only three preseason games they have. And we expect them just to start just going out here blowing the doors off of everybody just because it's preseason, because we want to see what this team made of. No, it's not going. It's. I'm more realistic than that. I'm more realistic to that. I mean, it's just you gotta understand there's new players on this team, a new head coach with a new offense, and it all has to come together the right way. Trust me, y'all appreciate it as the season go on. Yeah, there gonna be some struggles, but you gotta you gotta relax about it. You can't just get overreact to everything because it's not supposed to. If you don't understand the style of offense they running, then you're not gonna understand how it's supposed to. Last and the, and I'm gonna show this next clip, and then I'm gonna go into some of my other takes real quick. Now here's the off ball stuff.
A single season. How about this tab? She only had 9 leading up in her first 10 seasons.
And as you get older, Angel, I mean, BG still can do production in the paint.
It hasn't changed here in the arena or on stats.
I'll say this, three-point shooting for Atlanta has been on point in practices that we've seen, but also in the first preseason game. And so far here today,
as well as the points. And that's something we've seen in their first preseason game against Washington as a point-blank miss. Off the game clock, checks in the ball game. So what does that make? 3 now on the floor? Oh no, one checks out. So one in for the other. Is that what we're going to first round of the draft? The 3 seasons at Oregon, had all Pac-12 honors, shot 38% from outside. John Staley loved it so much, wanted to come back for 2 seasons. In the first with her on the roster, had the undefeated season and went on to win the national championship.
and led the nation in three-point shooting through that.
I don't know. Maybe it was a learned habit.
They might have.
She made, and now BG says she's rediscovered her love for the game, saying Atlanta reminds me of home. I'm back in the South, and this
Stress, yeah, a lot of acronyms, and we said STFO. He was like spacing the floor out, and we're seeing a lot of that space in NCAA, and that was one thing where people question if you don't have the title, the chip, what does that do for your legacy? I don't think it does anything. She had an absolutely amazing course. So really fun to see her career and how it blossoms as
Match. And that's not the matchup you want to see from side.
2 fouls for Timmy and Pow. On the other side, Caitlin Clark has 2 as well, the one she picked up before this possession. 6 on the shot clock. Boston going at Bree Jones.
even though she's out, I heard her in that huddle saying, hey, look for more inside-out looks, push and transition, and take care of the ball. Spoken like a true point guard, but also I'll go check in on Alicia Gray. We saw her grab her knee as well, and we'll see.
And we talked up their relationship for the last 2 seasons about how it feeds their chemistry on the court.
So just how she's the loudest person in practice.
So you saw a little bit of the off-ball action. Now, one of my issues with that is that in the Brazil game, you saw not selfie, but you saw Sydney Colston ran it more with Caitlin on the floor because she was able to get the ball back to Caitlin. When Kelsey Mitchell runs the ball, runs the play like that, and she's the ball handler, she barely finds the teammates, and she's looking to score, and that's to me, I think that's a no of that offense. You don't need a ball dominant person like her that's just a shooter. You need her moving around. If you paid attention to that clip I showed you, watch how Sophie Cunningham moves and cuts and still directs people to get in position. She is a valuable asset to this team in that ways because she could help Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark sees the floor in the whole area. Now I know Caitlin Clark wants to work on her assists and where she don't have to had the ball turnovers as much because she do have a lot of playmakers around her. That's the difference. When you have enough playmakers around you, it makes your job easier. Caitlin don't have to stress herself out to try to like it's fluently for her. There was one play that she got the ball back. She was completely wide open. Something that Caitlin Clark has never been, we haven't seen her being completely wide open and she nails down the three. She was taking it to Papa. Yeah, Papa got one shot over her, but Caitlin Clark was pretty much. If Caitlin Clark was in this from start to finish in this game, Papa would have got. She would have been barbecue chicken, like Shaq said. She would have been barbecue chicken because she couldn't deal with Caitlin Clark. Ryan Howard had a hard time. Alicia Gray had a hard time. So these are the most conclusive points that I'm looking at right there because whether Caitlin Clark plays 23 minutes or 30 minutes, the Fever still won the game. But again, I'm cautioning y'all as fans and as sports junkies, y'all have to understand that it's nothing to overreact about. Overreacting because Caitlin didn't touch the ball enough or she didn't, the ball didn't kick back to her. Once the season kick off and we see this stuff, then we could have some kind of concern. But right now it's preseason. I don't have too much concern about it. My thing is watching this team grow and build chemistry. Yeah, there are some glaring issues that need to. One, I want Aaliyah Boston to be more aggressive because believe it or not, Aaliyah Boston is playing for a contract. This year is going to be hinging on her being still an Indiana Fever in the off season, or them saying, "Hey, we need to move off of her because she's not giving." And I think even if the Fever does win if they do win the championship this year, I still think they gonna move off of her because I think Aaliyah Boston. I feel like she's taking a seat back. Caitlin Clark ain't gonna take a seat back to nobody. That's the kind of mindset, attitude that Leah Boston need to have. She has a reputation around the league because people think she's soft. She has to shed that. Now she had great footwork in this game, but she still missed some easy bunnies under the rim. If she really limits those simple mistakes, make her make her so much better. She got to go into every game looking to like, hey, I'm that person. She got to have the same mentality that Caitlin Clark has. I ain't conceding to nobody unless I need to. Yeah, you could pass the ball around, but when you need to dominate, dominate. Help Cece out. Help Kelsey out. That's what your job is there for, to help take the pressure off of them. If they got to do all the heavy lifting, then why they would need you? So that's the thing. And then you got to think about it. Lexi Hall comes in the fourth quarter, put the team on her back with a bunch of other subs, and carry the team home to victory. First game of the season, Sophie Cunningham took over. Her and Lexi took over and brought the team into overtime and won the game. Then second game, Caitlin Clark just put on the show. Kelsey Mitchell put on the show. Leah Boston needs to show up. She allowing these players to push her around. She allowing these players to make her look weak, you know, and they know that. Because rather BG in the game, Breonna Jones was sealing her off like it ain't nothing. She now, like I said, Leah has some great footwork in the game, but this year is a make or break year for Leah Boston. I know some of y'all don't want to hear about her being traded or getting rid of and all of that stuff, but reality has to set in. You got to understand how the season is going to go. Leah Boston has to play a whole lot differently. Now, would she play this in game one on against the Chicago Sky. We'll see. And she shows up and have a monster game in game one, a pretty efficient game in the first game of the season. I'm not going to even ride on her. But the fact of the matter is, Aaliyah Boston, she got to be a little bit more aggressive. She got to be a little bit more assertive. It's not going to happen because regardless of what the new CBA is, if the Fevers feel like, hey, we did all I can, they come to the front office. Stephanie White is a evaluator. She's going to look at this team and say, hey, we need to move on for her. And if there's somebody out there they feel like they could get to do her job, and I mean, look what think about this. Look what Stephanie White had in Connecticut with Breonna Jones. And Breonna Jones was a double-double person almost every game. And she had a slower offense. Stephanie White has a faster offense. And Aaliyah Boston is like she's unsure of herself. So, and I think right now, I think the team will, smooth out as the season go on, because you gotta think they still finding their way. Again, they still finding their way. I think Caitlin will gonna be fine. We don't need to overreact about her not having the ball in her hand. In a final preseason game. I mean, I understand we're supposed to treat every game the same, but you got to be careful because you already see a ton of injuries already taking place. So you don't see you already been hampered by a thigh injury, a leg injury in training camp. So if she goes out there and get tweaked up, then the first thing y'all gonna say, well, why she's in the game anyway? She should have sat out. You can't have it both ways. You gotta understand the situation for what it is. Training camp is for to iron out and see who's going to be to make the roster and see what chemistry, what talent is going to be able to round out the whole roster and whole. That's the main thing. And again, understand what a motion offense really is and a read and react offense. Caitlin numbers is going to be fine because the thing about it is, if her team does go all the way to the finals and win, she's going to be MVP anyway. She could have numbers like she had last year and still win MVP. She don't have to score 30 points a game just to be in an MVP conversation. Her team was barely a 500 team, and she was putting up second half numbers and been fourth in the MVP conversation. If her team is number one in the league, they're beating teams, and she's averaging 20, 19, 20, 10 assists, and almost 8 rebounds a game, that's MVP numbers. So y'all want to make CC score 25 and 10 a game. Nah, it's not gonna happen like that. You gotta pick and choose your opponent, and that's what it's about. Pick and choosing your opponent and understanding each lineup. The Atlanta Dream is a slow pace of offense, but they want to slow the game down because they don't really want to run. Now you got Brittany Griner out here shooting threes. Now that's another person you're gonna have to pick up from outside. But guess what? It makes it easy for you because you don't have to worry about her clogging up the paint. You could get them long rebounds, and you could outlet because you could beat her down there because she wants to stay out there and shoot threes. So I think Stephanie White is and the team is gonna be fine. We just gotta understand and settle down and stop overreacting to everything that we see. If this was regular season, it'd be a whole different conversation. But it's preseason, so I understand what preseason is about. That's just like being in spring training camp, or whatever the case may be. You iron out all kinds of things. Now it's going to be interesting to see what the roster looks like. Then that's going to be a whole totally different thing. Now I do believe Michaela Tipson is going to make the roster. I think when you hear Stephanie White today, you could tell she loves her. And then she said, "Oh, Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown, she's a close second. But at the end of the day, you know, unless they make a surprising cut, say they cut Bree Turner or Sydney Colston and find a way to bring Jalen Brown on the roster. And I think Jalen Brown honestly can run the point. And we have to stop with this Grace Berger situation too. I am so sick and tired of hearing about Grace Berger. Or we lost her. She was a valuable backup. She could run point. She barely got any playing time last year. She was drafted in the seventh overall in the first round the year before. Christy Wallace was the backup to Caitlin Clark, yes, last year. So if Grace Berger was that person, she would have beat out Christy Wallace, who pretty much wasn't that good. So I don't want to hear nothing more about uh, um, a Grace Berger or anything else. These players is not on this roster no more. We need to focus on the roster that's at hand and what it is. Everybody's going to have their problems with certain players on here that's not performing well. That's fine. Sydney Colson's job really isn't here to score. She's here to control the offense and facilitate. But if she could score, she scores. But I do love the combination of her and Caitlin Clark on the floor at the same time, because to me, that shows that you have another point guard that can help facilitate. And Caitlin, if you remember in the Brazil game when Caitlin came off the screen and she gave her little pitch back and she hit a three, that's the same thing DeWanna Bonner did for Sophie Cunningham. She got the ball, she worked the screen, came off the screen, and DeWanna gave it back to Sophie. Sophie hit it for a three-pointer. So there's ways, and that's why I like the way that this team is because there's multiple people could touch the ball, and they not only they gotta worry about Caitlin, but they gotta worry about the others now. Seeing last year they couldn't work, they ain't had to worry about the others. If Aaliyah scored, she scored. But when it came down to Kelsey and Caitlin, you had to pay attention to them too, because they was doing a lot of damage. Everybody else from that point didn't do a lot of damage. And then Lexi was really finding her groove at that time. Now you look at her; she's playing much freely than she had ever played before. So, again, I say this team will be fine. This team will get it together. I'm not worried about it. Until then, this your Sunday stroll from Live Wild Sports Media, and if there's any news or anything else I need to bring forward to you, I definitely will. But until then, stay safe. Happy Mother's Day to all, and all stay blessed.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.